Hi class, today's lesson is on prisms, and our learning targets are: I can describe prisms using their properties, I can draw three-dimensional, or that means 3D shapes, the opposite of flat, and I can make nets for 3D shapes. So I'm going to show you how to describe a prism. This is a prism. It basically looks like a box. It's a three-dimensional shape. It's not flat. We represent three-dimensional with this little 3D here too. When we have a prism like this, we have the dotted lines that show the edges that we can't really see right now. So this is a rectangular prism because the outside face or the sides are rectangular, or even if it's a square, that's still a rectangle. So we call it a 3D shape, a rectangular prism. Each face, like I said, is a rectangle. The opposite faces, so the ones that are across from each other, are the same size and shape, and those are called bases. So like this one that's in the front with this one that's kind of in the back that we can't really see, those are the same size and the same shape as each other. And they're also parallel to each other, so they will never meet. And the other faces besides the bases are parallelograms, which means they each have two sides, or two sides that are parallel lines. So here's some definitions for you to write down. A face is the side of a prism. An edge is where two of those faces intersect. So up here we have those labeled. Here's the face, and there are 6 faces. See, 1 here, 2, and then kind of on the side, 3, 4 back here. There's 1 on the top, 5, and 1 on the bottom, 6. The edges are where those meet, the faces meet. So any of these lines here going around are all the edges, and there are 12 of those in this prism. And the vertex is the corner. So here, 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 all over. There are 8 of those. So make sure you have those definitions written down in the vocabulary section of your note catcher. I'm going to show you 2 different ways to draw a prism. So one way is to, let's see if you can see that. One way is to draw just a square, and my lines aren't going to be perfect here. And then above and to the right of that square or rectangle, you're going to draw another one the same size. Again, mine aren't perfect. And then you attach them from vertex to vertex. So like that, like that, like that, and like that. That is not a very nice looking one. Just trying to even that out a little bit. Okay, so you can see I would have these dotted lines because we can't really see them. Those are behind the prism, the sides that we can't see. All right, so that's one way. Another way is to just start with a box, and then you would draw parallel lines, which means that they never meet, and send them this way, and you would want to use a ruler for this. I'm going to redo that one because I don't think it's really parallel to these ones. And then we connect them with a straight line coming down. And connect this one with a straight one that's parallel to this line right here. Erase that extra part on both sides, and we have another one. Now this one has those back, the edges and faces that are behind the prism that you can't actually see. So that kind of makes it really look three-dimensional. So you can pick whichever one is easier for you to use. So if we're talking about a prism, you can think about a cereal box, okay? This is a perfect example of a prism, a rectangular prism, because the face is a rectangle. All the faces are rectangles, okay? So when we talk about making nets, that was one of our learning targets, making nets from boxes. That's when we take the 3D shape of the box and flatten it into a 2D, two-dimensional, which means basically flat, net. So I'm going to show how to do that with a box. You're going to be doing this with paper. Might not be the prettiest net ever. So we're starting to flatten it out a little bit. Sorry, this is taking a while. And the last part. This box is not cooperating for our video lesson, of course. All right, so we have a flat object now. We have a flat figure, flat two-dimensional figure. So you can see how that works here. Here was the box, or like the cereal box, and they flattened it to a two-dimensional shape. So in your in-class work, you're going to be doing this. You're going to be taking, and you might actually have to take the flat object and turn it into a prism, into a three-dimensional object by piecing it together and maybe taping it together. So, all right. There are also different kinds of prisms. The only ones I've talked about are like boxes or the rectangular prisms. So there are some different types here. If you can see, we have a triangular prism, because right here you can see the triangle is the face or the base, because it's identical to that one back here in the back. You can see with the dotted lines. And the rest of the prism, the other sides are parallelograms. This one's a parallelogram, the other one is. So that's a triangular prism. We might see a hexagonal. You see the word hexagon, six-sided shape. So this base, as well as the back base, is a hexagon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides makes it a hexagon, so it's a hexagonal prism. Okay, again, you can see the parallelograms going around the edges. And then the bottom two are both rectangular prisms. This one is obviously so because it's a rectangle, and we know that squares are rectangles, so this one is also a rectangular prism. And that's it. There's no practice work for this video, just those vocabulary words that you need to write down, and make sure that you write down what a prism is. And that's it.